Hello everyone and welcome to Whiskey Wars. Today I've got a Whiskey War and I haven't recorded one in quite some time, so I'm super excited. And actually, should I say it? I probably should. I was doing dry January. It is getting towards the end of the month, but I just filmed my top 3 bourbons video. And if you haven't already, do check that one out. But I just couldn't resist doing this Whiskey War. So I'm going to be quitting dry January to film this review. Not the best advert for controlled and responsible drinking, I have to say. If you are doing dry January, please stick to it. Don't listen to this bad influence here. But no, in all seriousness, this year I am going to be reducing my consumption levels, but I'm still going to be recording videos for you guys because I just love doing it. Anyway, back to the video. That's the most important thing. That's why you guys are here. We have 2 bourbons going at it, 2 barrel proofs. We have the Elijah Craig barrel proof against the Wild Turkey Rare Breed, which is bottled at barrel proof as well. Now the Elijah Craig, this one is batch A123, which is bottled at 62.8% ABV, but it's 12 years of age. So, actually, it's the oldest bourbon that I own, so pretty cool. Against the Rare Breed, which is younger, I believe it's between 6 and 9 years, around that age profile, and it's 58.4% ABV. But there is a price difference between the two, which does make up for that extra age. I should release the neck pour of the Elijah Craig before I release this Whiskey War. So do make sure to check that video out if you haven't already. I filmed this at Christmas Day, on Christmas Day with Yasmin, because she actually got me this as a gift for Christmas. After some heavy hinting, but it's good to see that heavy hinting paid off. Okay, let's get these poured out. I have to be honest, as you guys know, I film very early in the morning. I've had to draw the blind to create a nice sort of lighting because everything's just bright white with all the light. Barrel proof whiskey after a few weeks of not drinking, early in the morning. It might take me a couple of sips to get into it. That Rare Breed is running dangerously low, I have to be honest. That's not a good sign. Well, it is a good sign, it means it's a good whiskey, but it means that I'd have to rebuy, which I'm not rebuying for quite some time. If you are subscribed to the channel, you will know that quite a few neck pours have been coming out because I bought quite a few in Black Friday and the Christmas sales, which I always do, and I'm spent up for quite some time at the minute. But even posting all those neck pours, I'm still getting recommendations from you guys. So the Deanston Virgin Oak is something that I'm really looking into. Arran Barrel Reserve is another one that was recommended by you guys. I had a Glencadam 10, if you know, you know, recommended by someone. Okay guys, just before we dig into the nose, if you'd be so kind as to hit that like button, that share button, but most importantly that subscribe button, that'd be really, really appreciated. Let's dig into the nose. I'm actually going to nose and taste the Rare Breed first because it is a lower proof. It's just heavenly. It's so good. Really do feel like this whiskey is why I recommend it to a lot of Scotch drinkers. I find having a channel and having such an amazing community of people as we do on the channel, which has been amazing actually. I never thought it would develop into what it has developed into. Love the community on my channel. I really appreciate all the regular people who comment down below. I find that a lot of Scotch drinkers can find bourbon quite one-dimensional, which I totally understand their way of thinking. I do sometimes. But this whiskey breaks the mold a little bit because it gives you a lot of complexity, but different notes to those traditional bourbon notes. For me, I get a lot of nutmeg in here and clove, but also it merges into a little bit of fruitiness as well, which I don't get on a lot of bourbons. And I just feel like that's why it, and also at barrel proof, I just think it has a lot of things that are going to appeal to a Scotch drinker looking to get into bourbons. On the nose, I get actually a little bit more treacle than I do caramel. So like that cooked caramel, I think it's, let me know, because I say this in a lot of videos and I'm really not sure. What we call treacle in the UK, I believe you guys call molasses, which is like a cooked, browned off caramel. Do let me know if I've got that right or not. For me, I get a lot of treacle. Actually, a little bit of like a toffee sauce in there can start to develop into something quite buttery. And then that fruitiness comes through, but actually, it's almost like a little bit of a tart fruitiness, but it doesn't come across as tart on the nose because of all that caramelized toffee sauce and treacle sweetness. But it's like a red currant sauce on the nose, just underneath the treacle and the caramel. Let's compare it to the Elijah. It's more oaky, it's more peppery, it's more spicy, it's more aggressive. A little bit of like a sawdusty white wood spice on the Elijah. That new oak. There is spice and pepperiness to the rare breed, but it comes across a little bit more like a cracked black pepper. Okay, let's dig into the taste. The rare breed is just full of lots of baking spices, but it's not just the sweet cinnamon, but it's the nutmeg, it's the clove that really take this whiskey to the next level. It's sweet, it's full of brown sugar, it's cooked caramel, it's nutmeg, it's clove, lots of winter spices. It's fragrant. It's also a little bit nutty as well. I do get some nuts on this whiskey. And then when you dig past that, you actually start building up a fruitiness. Like I say, that red currant sauce is a really good one because it's not too sweet. There's a bit of tart fruitiness to it. It's fantastic. The blend of all those flavours is just sensational. I think once you dig a little bit further, you start picking up a little bit of citrus, a little bit of lemon peel, adding a little bit of freshness and zing to the whiskey, and also some fresh mandarin oranges as well. It's very, very fruity, but more the citrusy style of fruit. And then compared to the Elijah, a lot more caramel and brown sugar in the Elijah. I get a lot more spice and oakiness in the Elijah as well, but I don't pick up the nutmeg and clove. I get more cinnamon, more oak, more caramel, more brown sugar, but I also get more nuts as well in the Elijah. Once you dig past that though, with the Elijah, what I love is I get a little bit of toffee apple on the nose, and that is really nice. I get no apple in the Wild Turkey. Yeah, toffee apple is so nice, and actually a little bit of fig that does give a really nice sweetness to the whiskey, but also a fruitiness. But I don't get the citrus that I get in the Wild Turkey. Okay, let's get stuck into the taste. The citrusy zing is there from the lemon peel, but I get, imagine fruits, red fruits in a caramel sauce with cracked black pepper on top, with lemon peel or lemon juice squeezed on top. That's what you're getting on the taste, and it's really nice, but it's very fresh. On the finish, on the back end, I get a really minty finish, and that's really nice. Okay, so definitely some eucalyptus on the taste, which actually isn't my favourite thing, but I do prefer it slightly to menthol, but it's saved because the finish turns more minty. which gives me a very refreshing herbal finish, which I really, really do enjoy with this whiskey. Okay, let's compare it to the Elijah on the taste. Two very different bourbons. So initially the taste of the Elijah comes across a little bit sweeter but a lot less fruity. Far more of the caramel and oak and brown sugar, but cooked brown sugar. A little bit of that eucalyptus is also present on the Elijah, but I would say less so. I get more of a dessert-like feel to the Elijah, and for me, I credit that to this buttered pastry note that I get on it. The nose as well, when you go back to the nose, it has a dusted cocoa note, which I think is heavenly. It's cocoa and cinnamon, and it does give a dustiness to the nose, which isn't present on the Wild Turkey. I'm actually finding that weirdly addictive. I really do enjoy that. There is a slight nuttiness, but it's a dusted nut, and it's not too strong, but it is present. Almost like an almond and hazelnut if you blended the two and blitzed them up. That cocoa, really, really dessert-like, but in that buttered pastry dessert-esque feel with caramel. The Wild Turkey is a bit fruitier, but also has more of the nutmeg in with it as well. And the cracked black pepper. Flaked puff pastry on the Elijah. Two very different whiskies actually. When you have them side by side and you spend time with each, you really start to appreciate how different they are. Initially they can come across a bit more similar, and then they diverge the more you get used to them. It's more complex and it has a lot stronger of a nutmeg, whereas the Elijah Craig, even though it's older, has more of a standard bourbon presence, more of the caramel, more of the brown sugar, more of the oak, but it has this really attractive dustiness to it, which I get chocolate, a little bit of nuts and cinnamon, but mainly on the taste I get this lovely bit of buttered pastry. So it's a hard one to call the winner on, but it really depends on which you prefer the sound of. I still would say if you are a Scotch drinker and you can't get into bourbon, I would still recommend the Wild Turkey. So let's talk about the price. The Elijah Craig is €85 or £85, which makes it a little bit more expensive in the UK market. I believe in America this could be $80, so maybe €70, £60, so a lot cheaper in America. The Wild Turkey Rare Breed is about £55 in the UK, so a good £30 cheaper, the Wild Turkey, but it is younger and it is a little bit lower in proof. It's a difficult one to which I would prefer, but honestly the winner is still the king. It's still the king that I pronounce as the king of bourbon, which is the Wild Turkey Rare Breed. I think this is sensational. But I will concede it was quite close, and this is the A batch, and I believe that the C batch is the best of the 3 batches of the Elijah Craig Barrel Proof each year. So maybe, just maybe, the C batch might topple the Wild Turkey, but the A batch doesn't quite get there, even though it's still really good and I really enjoy the whiskey. Okay guys, that's going to do it for this whiskey war. If you enjoyed the video, please drop a like on the video. Please let me know in the comments down below which one you preferred, if you've had both of them, and please do hit that subscribe button as well. Thank you so much for watching this whiskey war, and I hope to see you all for the next whiskey war.